folly ado. Have you heard that before? It basically means when two people share one madness, as in both of them run mad together. I'm not joking. June and Jennifer, they are the perfect example. These twins just woke up one day and decided, yeah, no, we're not talking to anybody else ever again. Parents, no. Teachers, mm-mm. Strangers, absolutely not. Silence for years. But with each other, please. They were speaking non-stop in this fast coded language like undercover agents. Nobody understood their full conversations. Nobody understood them. Anyway, let me take you back a bit so that we can understand the story better. The twins were born in Barbados, but their family moved to Wales when they were still quite young. And being the only black children in that whole school in Wales, it was very difficult. The bullying was non-stop. People mocked their accents, they pushed them around, refused to play with them, and just slowly the girls just withdrew into themselves. They didn't trust anybody. And eventually they stopped talking to the outside world completely. But the silence wasn't the whole story. Behind closed doors, these girls were alive, talking, laughing, arguing, writing. They filled diary after diary after diary with poems, stories, emotions, everything that they refused to say out, they wrote. And the writing, it wasn't just small. They were serious. Like June, she wrote a whole novel called The Pepsi Cola Addict. They even tried to get it published. They sent manuscripts to people. They took writing courses. They genuinely wanted to be authors. Now, their private language, right? Remember what I talked about? Everybody acted like it was some demonic language, but it wasn't. A speech therapist recorded them and slowed the tape down. Turns out it was basically Bajan English mixed with their own like code, but spoken very, very fast. It was their way of shutting the world out while still communicating with each other like normal. At one point, teachers and psychologists, right, they thought that the solution was to separate them, not just different classrooms. I'm talking different schools. They sent them to two completely different schools. They believed that it would force the girls to make friends, force them to be more independent. That was a mistake. The opposite happened. June, the softer one, she stopped moving. She wasn't talking, she wasn't moving, hardly eating, not reacting to anything. In fact, if they wanted to bring her out of bed, two people needed to lift her. Jennifer in her own school, she stopped eating, she wasn't speaking, she was barely functioning. The separation, it almost broke them. The moment they reunited, they snapped back into themselves, talking, writing, normal. That was when adults realized, this bond wasn't just close, it was intense, unhealthy, and scary. As they got older, they started misbehaving outside. I'm not talking small things, though. They were doing things like they started breaking into houses, stealing from shops, vandalizing property. Then they would come back and write it all in their diary,